know you've spoken about this a few times, but for the Rapzilla audience, and I made the joke to you. I'm feeling weird calling you Emmanuel. It feels like calling Jay-Z Sean. So
Well,
let's talk about, after all these years, like, why are you going by your birth name? And do you expect people to follow suit? Because I know I have a hard time saying, I'm interviewing Truth today.
yeah, a lot of people are following suit, a lot more than I even expected. You know, it's a
Okay.
reflex. It's a reflex. So the people that are doing it, sometimes they have to correct themselves, and I have to correct myself at times too. But I think it's important. From a um, biblical perspective, I think we see it quite often in the scriptures, right? We see
Oh
name
yeah.
changes.
Good point. Yeah.
We see name changes. We see Abram to Abraham. You know what I mean? From exalted father to the father of all nations. That the changing the suffix of his name carried a lot of significance. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
The same thing, Cephas, Peter. You know what I mean? Like this is a trend that you kind of see throughout the scriptures. Just because names carry a lot of weight, and it's only in our culture that we just kind of throw names, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
but but in Eastern culture, you know, and in the eastern part of the world, um, the amount of attention that they give, and the amount of what's the word I'm looking for, value that they place on just the name is critically important. And so for me, it's the same. When I named myself the truth, it carried I was very clear as to why I was doing it. It was a time in which I was, really, I was actually coming off of the heels of my faith being shaken,
Okay.
and the thing I was wrestling with was, what was it that shook my faith? And I think the thing that came to mind was the fact that there was so much truth in what this other religion was actually communicating. I did At the time I didn't know that there can be truth in other religions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every religion is true. I didn't have that as a framework there.
Yeah.
At that particular time, I just was like, "Oh my God, I'm shaking." Why was there so much truth in what they had to say, equal to, at least in my mind, equal to the truth that's in Christianity? And then I realized, oh, it actually was. It was the truth wrapped in the shell of a lie, or a lie wrapped in the shell of the truth. And so that's how I ended up naming myself the truth. I said, hey, I want to end up. What I want to do with my music is, and my ministry is, I want to give people not just propositional truth, not just partial truth, but I want to give people literally truth that is consistent with the person that I'm representing, which is the person of Christ. And um, so that's how I ended up with the truth. And then I think over time, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started toying with this idea of changing my name, because I was like, hmm, who I've been as the truth is really different than who I feel like I am today. And I wanted to be true to that, who I have been as the truth was a lot more assertive, in your face.
Yeah.
That's not to say that I'm compromising on my values, or what I believe is true. It is to say that the lessons that I've learned throughout the years, is that, not is that yes, it's important to communicate truth, but how we do it is equally as important. And when we do it, picking our spots, learning when to say what, learning when not to fight those battles.
Yeah.
The truth is like, let's go. There are plenty of green rooms that I've had arguments in with my peers in the industry, and not that I wouldn't have those discussions today, but they would look a lot different.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. I think the truth was a lot more black and white. This is what life is. And that's just lived experience. I didn't have certain lived experiences. And so I was just like, this is what life is. If this happens, everything had a formulaic equation that just made it all make sense. And I think I came to a point where I began to see some of the complexity of life a bit more. I started to understand some of the nuance in life a bit more, and say, answers that I thought I had, I didn't. Things that I personally, thought I'd never think actually had. Things that I've seen people say they never do, they actually did. What is that? You know what I'm saying? And beginning to
Yeah.
kind of tease out some of those, um, some of those complexities. kind of brought me to a place where I'm like, I feel really different in terms of how I philosophize life, and even when it comes to God, like how I see God the same, just in terms of his character, his nature is the same. It's never changed. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. But what's interesting is this, Justin. We can say God's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, right? But what's interesting is what we all mean by that, right? Because all of us have uh, have an I have developed a theological strong construct around certain characteristics of God that tell us who He is and that shape our worldview about Him.
Yeah.
What happens when you come to the day where the thing you thought you knew about God, you didn't? Does that make sense? Well, now I have to rethink. Now I have to rethink, reimagine, deconstruct, reconstruct. Because I don't believe in just deconstructing, but deconstruct and then reconstruct some of the ideas around these particular elements of who God is, or these particular aspects of who God is. And so, I think kind of going through that this kind of cycle and this circle over the past 4 or 5 years, it brought me to a place where I said, I feel less like that guy and more just like myself. I'm just big bro. That's it.
Yeah, and to put it in simple terms too, just thinking about people in their life, how things change every 5 to 6 years. 6 years ago, I wasn't a dad. Now, 6 years later, I am. That's a totally different title, responsibility, mindset. Now I'm like protecting. I didn't have any of that before. So 5, 6 years later, I'm a totally different person. So it makes sense. You after doing
Absolutely.
something for 20 years, known as something, you're like, you know what? I could still speak about the truth.
Yes.
You could still be truth on duty,
Yes.
because truth is always on duty for you. But now
Always.
you could be Emmanuel.
Yes.
You could be yourself.
That's it. Yeah, I'm on the ground. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not up here in the clouds. There was a time where pontificating ideas was the priority for me. It's still a thing for me for sure,
Yeah.
but it was the greatest priority. Whereas now it's like, and this is the other reason I use my biological name now. The greatest, the greatest thing for me now is knowing God is with me. Imagine
And that's what your
that's what
name
my
means.
name means.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing that like that my if I were to place value in anything in this season of my life, it would be that above being able to have the answers. So
I got you, man. That's awesome. All right. Let me ask you this. In the song "Set the Bar," you talk about people saying you fell off. So,
oh,
do you think that you fell off? And if so, or if not, like, what do you think the disconnect is between people's expectations of who you're supposed to be and where you're actually at?
yeah, for sure. So great question. That's why I didn't pay you the big bucks, Justin.
Yeah. All right. If you say so.
Man, it's interesting. I was watching a live clip of me performing Legacy recently. I'm
this
actually going
this
to
last one. Yeah.
no, somebody posted of me
Okay.
performing Legacy in 2007,
Okay.
and I was like, whoop, I was going in.
That was the truth. That
Yeah,
wasn't
that was the
Emmanuel.
truth. That was the truth. I was going in, boy. I spent probably 5 albums going in. you know,
Yeah.
5, and then I think I did go in on It's Complicated again, but
Yeah.
I spent about 5 albums where you got something to prove. You got you're a lyricist. This is like that. That's who I am at my core. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
from up north. I'm an East Coaster. When you step into the room, it's bars. You know what I mean? And so it's Ines. You know what I mean? It's like, so for me, your values, were early on was really built a lot around, being a lyricist. Whereas I think over the years, I still think I'm lyrical for sure. But the investment is a lot more balanced for me now because here's what people don't know about me. I am a bona fide producer. Like I'm a producer. So all these songs that you hear on I started on the faith. I started playing drums and stuff because I'm a musician first. But by the time you got to like open book, big picture,
Mhm.
I'm in the room helping build these records from scratch.
Yeah.
And now, by the time you get here to this record, Emanuel, you really hear all of my musicality. And so what happened over the years for me is because I'm not just a lyricist and not just a rapper, I'm also a musician slash producer. Now what I'm doing is I'm building compositions, not just hot lines. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, what I want to do now is I want people to, I've A&R'd 3 projects this year. One being a project that's executive produced by Allen Iverson, so it's coming out this year. So it's a film. I did the
Nice.
A&R'd the score and the soundtrack for it. And
Wow.
that's I'm just quiet about it, but that's a big part of who I am. And so what people hear from me is this this Emmanuel essentially plugging into the whole of who I am as an artist, not just a lyricist. So if I decide to pull out the bars, I can. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
If I decide I want to go in, I absolutely can. But so much of my priority is just creating that balance. The next record I'll go in a little bit more,
Yeah.
but not this one. So the people that say that I fell off, a lot of times their expectation is for me to be who I was early on. And what that speaks to is, those individuals' lack of desire or the lack of room that they have to really watch me grow and evolve. There's a lot of people that do go with me, a lot of people that do watch
Yeah.
me, and then there's a lot of people who don't. They're like, I don't want that. I want Bizzle, and that's why they have Bizzle, because what I'm doing now, you know what I'm saying? What I'm doing now, that's why they got Dayton. Because what I'm doing now is going to be you're going to get a little bit of Dayton, a little bit of Bizzle, but you're going to hear me falling back a lot on my musicality and production as well, because the composition means a lot to me. The experience is what I want to create for people.
Yeah.
That's what Kanye West does. He creates experiences. You listen to Kanye West's music, it's not like anything else you've ever heard. You listen to this album that I just put out, it's not like anything anybody's ever heard in our genre before. And it's because the goal for Kanye is the same goal that I have, which is let's create an experience for the listener. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
And what I always say too is an artist is always as good as whatever the first album you started listening to them, right? Because it has that nostalgia. So you've been around a while. So there's people who are only focusing, oh, that first time I popped in the CD in 2006.
Yeah.
And then they're holding on to 2006 you. But then there's going to be someone who this is the first album they hear, and maybe they won't rock with your old stuff. They want to hear that new stuff because for them now this is the nostalgic music.
And let me tell you what I love about this album though. What it is drawing out, so maybe I lose some along the way, but what I gain, what I gain is people in the industry with an ear for the evolution that are like, oh my God, what is this? We need you at the NAACP Image Award.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you sort of answered one of my questions about like the sonics of this album. One part that I sort of felt like I noticed, I feel like this album almost flows like a church service. So it's like it's meant to be heard track one through the end, and you almost think of it as one long cohesive track because they just keeps going into each other. So was that was the plan?
All day and night. When we crafted this 3-year long process, we literally were getting to when Greg and I were getting to the end of each song, we were saying, okay, what key is the next song in? And we were ending this song,
it's just gonna flow right in,
so that you could feel again. Unless you sometimes unless you have an ear to hear it or understand it, I don't mind being on the wrong side of history in a sense. Like people that catch up over time. Because I think what you're hearing is what the goal of it is. It's when Dre Beats put out headphones, the commercial ran like this. Alicia Keys has the headphones in, and she says, "This is how you're supposed to hear my music." Because what Dre Beats understood is that when we mix and master this music, it's intended to be heard a certain way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so but there's nothing out there that provides that experience for the listener. Therefore, I have to create it. That's me. For
Yeah.
me, it's like I know there's nothing out there like it. So for the person who has a palate for one thing or for another, they won't get it or they won't connect with it. But what I understand is there's so, there are people that need to have an experience like this and can't find it in our genre. Who's going to create it? And it's going to
Yeah.
be me because that's what comes out of me naturally. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's the difference of, and this isn't knocking anyone, but you have people who will put out a project every 6 months or keep dropping singles, and you can listen to that project in whatever order. You can only listen to the singles. This project, you spent years on it. It has to be listened to. Oh, 17, what is it, 17 tracks, right? Oh, 17
yeah,
tracks. That's so long.
yeah,
So, okay, so maybe this
yeah.
isn't for you, but the
That's
person who appreciates, I'm going to put on track one and I'm going to listen through and go along on the journey. That's that audience. That's the people who understand why music takes so long for certain
yeah.
people.
What do you think about the journey? If you had to talk to the Rapzilla crowd, what would you say?
It's a gospel service. Like, and you know what? It's funny. It didn't dawn on me until the last track. So I'm listening through and I'm trying to listen to things to ask you about. There's a lot of interludes. There's a lot of you rapping, and then the rest of the
Disappear.
song just goes. I'm like, where did he go? And then finally I got to the last track, and when it finished, I said, oh, dummy. This is a church service. And he's like the guy who pops in every once in a while and he's like, hallelujah, I'm saying some words, blah, blah, blah. Okay, choir, do your thing. And
Yeah,
that's exactly what the experience felt like.
yeah.
And for me, it didn't hit me until the end. And maybe that's a better
I love
thing, you
that.
know?
Listen, I fell asleep on Wakanda Forever. Um, I fell asleep 3 times. So I nodded off like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And when we got, it's 3 hours or whatever it's long.
Slow
Uh,
movie, yeah.
got to the end of the movie. During the movie, I was like, this is kind of. Got to the end, I was like, oh my goodness, this was incredible. And what it made me do was watch it again.
Yeah.
And when I watched it again, I said, oh my goodness, this is literally in my top 3. So it went from I just didn't get it. That was the issue until the end. And once I
Yeah.
got it and listened through it now in light of what it actually was, as opposed to what I wanted it to be, because I wanted it to be the first one. Jocular, one-liners,
Yeah, yeah,
fun. The bad guy, the good guys just beat up the bad guys really bad, and it feels lighthearted. And this was heavy and sober, and you know what I
yeah.
mean. A lot of dark moments, a lot of deep, rooted emotional stuff going on. I just didn't get it. I was like, this is not like what I anticipated. When I got to the end, it clicked. Oh my god! And I watched it again and said, top 3,
Yeah.
top 3.
And,
So
and
I get that.
that's always, someone like me, a music journalist, like I'm just supposed to be listening to music all the time. So I don't have the luxury of like really sitting and enjoying an album. It's like, okay, next album. So sometimes I'll revisit something, 10 years ago or 15 years ago and be like, yeah, this wasn't great. Let me try to get it. I'm like, oh, I get it now. And I'm like 20 years like way too late.
Yeah,
But once that light bulb goes off and you could appreciate the art for what it is,
yeah,
it opens up a whole new perspective to you.
agreed.
All right, so let me ask you this. Last year, you had said that you were dropping 4 projects under the name The Art of Engagement.
Yeah.
So, did that somewhat happen? Did it turn into this project? Like, what was all that?
Yeah, so it's this project and then 3 more that are going to follow.
Okay.
The second one, I'm not gonna say the name. It's gonna be funny.
Oh, it's close. We were real close to getting it,
Let's
everyone.
go, man.
He was having a good
Um,
time and
the
he almost
second
slipped.
one is a little bit of a continuation of this into the art of engagement, and then the last 2 will be purely the art of engagement. So that's absolutely still happening. This one just took up a lot more bandwidth than I thought, and it's again, I haven't pushed or promoted or marketed an album or had an album with this magnitude in such a long time. It's the wave of it is the wind of it is carrying me pretty far. So now I got to kind of finish this whole process out And but I'm working on that second one as we speak.
So it's like it's kind of all mapped out. You
It's
just
mapped out.
need to get in there,
Yep,
record it, and
yep,
get everything
yep.
done.
And I've recorded some of it. Like so, it's three records. The first one will be 6 songs. The other two will be 5. And it'll be like 3 songs from this record. It'll be a continuation of this album, and the current album. And then I'll do 3 songs around the art of engagement. And I'm just going into it's gonna be apologetic from there.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
All right. So moving back towards the themes of the project, and you spoke on this a little bit. It's about how God has been with you throughout your journey. Your name, God with it, God with us. So when you think of it that way, how do you sort of reconcile any like grief or regret or mistakes that you've made, knowing that God has been with you along this whole journey, kind of watching you, and how do you turn that into a testimony?
Oh yeah, the mistakes I've made and make. They haven't
And
stopped.
not just you. I mean, we've all
For
made these
sure.
mistakes too.
For
Yeah, yeah,
sure. For me, man, it's that's exactly it. That's what brought me to this record. The intersection between the Emanuels. It's Emmanuel, me, and Emmanuel, who the designation given to the Lord Jesus.
yeah,
And there's an intersection of those two worlds, and the whole of life is those two things happening at the same time. I'm living just my life, and in that life, there's a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys, a lot of ups and downs, and I'm fumbling the ball and making mistakes, and oh Lord, God, and finding myself and going through therapy and getting help and trying to figure it all out, navigating the world, and then there's Emmanuel who's not doing any of that. There's
yeah,
God who understands and knows all things at one point, and who loves and cares for me perfectly, and cares for us perfectly, even in the midst of all of our brokenness and all of our messiness and all of our awkwardness and all of our idiosyncrasies and insecurities, and the again to be able to land on, as dark as this space is, as broken as this heart of mine, as fragmented as I am, he does there's never a point in which he decides to distance himself
hmm,
from me, but he stays close. He distances himself when you push him, but he stays close when you keep. Listen, he draws near to the broken and the contrite. Even if you are in the most broken of situations, if that heart is still oriented towards heaven, if you are still crying out to the heavens, if you are still crying out, Lord, help, if you are still crying out, Lord, I am in the fire, but I know if you are with me, I will not be burned. Lord, I am in the water, but I know if you are with me, I will not be consumed. It's Hebrew boy action. I will not get it right 100%. I will not do this perfectly. I will not dot all my I's and cross all my T's. I will not. But what I will do is I will put total faith, confidence, and trust in the midst of all of the brokenness of my own life in Jesus Christ, and He will be with me. He, he, he is most. I believe that um, He is most engaged with us when we are most broken.
hmm,
When we are in the mud that he said, oh, he's there in the mud. That's when he comes. Otherwise, for what reason do we need him? It's the mud, it's the
yeah.
mud. It's not having it all together. And so for me, when I think about mistakes I've made, mistakes I'm making, that is my greatest comfort. Not that I'm doing it all right, but that God is with me through it all. And
See,
that's all.
I
And
knew I was waiting to get the preacher version of you, so we got it. We got it for one question. Um, that was dope, man. Okay, so I think that's a good segue into the song "Tell Somebody."
yeah.
There's a lot of joy on this album too,
Hmm.
and I think influencer social media culture is funny because you know video wise, picture wise, we only show the good times and the happiness, right? But often in art, and in this instance, music, all the music is about the struggle and the tortured artist. But meanwhile, everything looks happy. So it's like, what are we doing here? So how is this feeling to create from like a place of joy, and then you just have this album, you just let it rip, like especially on this song. How does that feel?
It's interesting. A lot of people have asked me that. I'm like, yeah, I guess I do make pretty intense music. So this is I don't do this often. But God being with us is also about it's about the entirety of the journey. And you're right. In victim culture, where people are defined by their grievances, it's easy to lean on them in order to. It's easy to fall back on them kind of as a default, just because it's just the culture we live in. But then, and particularly in hip hop, people don't want happy, do they? That's the question, right? You think about all the people who sell records, all the people who are winning. They all gotta. Most of them are arguing about something or upset about something, whether it be their history, their past, or something in the present. You see
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's the culture we live in. It's salacious. Oh, it's you know, um, it's the juice, the tea. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so I think that as a hip hop artist, it gets interesting, kind of because even as a Christian hip hop artist, it gets interesting because we struggle with the joy of the Lord sometimes. It's like, wait, there's another side to what we do that actually is the joy of the Lord that is our strength. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I think that for me it was important for people to have that experience on this record because it ain't just valleys. It is mountaintops, and it is fun, and it's enjoyable, and walking with God is fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
exciting. And I even think about like I posted yesterday. Tell me three things you love about following, being a follower of Jesus. And it's so interesting. So many people did kind of lean naturally into the darker side, or the more intense
Yeah.
side of the faith, which is fine. But it's just like a reflex for us rather than, hey guys, like there's something, and here it is. I did a song called Welcome to Our World early on in my career. And that is a distinguishing factor. When I was on the red carpet at the Grammys, they asked me, what do you think about the 50, hip hop being 50 years old? I did Revolt TV, I did Billboard. What do you think about, hip hop being 50 years old? And I said, here's what I love about, hip hop. I talked about how it mended a lot of the divides in culture. It's the only genre of its kind that set the precedent in terms of being able to reach across the aisles, and kind of bring people from all different walks of life into one space, on one accord. And I was just building up, building up, building up. I said, however,
There's more.
this is what you're not going to hear probably from the other artists. There is a dark side to hip hop that is a conversation for us to have. I didn't want to get into it on a red carpet. But there's some misogyny. There's some, there's the idolization of and the romanticizing of murder and crime and gun violence and all these things. I think these are conversations for us to have. And I said, and it's the reason why what we do is so important. Woo, come on, Justin. Because what we're doing is providing. We've always said it. I remember Tonic used to say this all the time. What we do is not just providing an alternative, it's providing an antidote. And so what we're doing is providing the antidote. Imagine if people could look into our space and not just hear our grievances, but look into our space and see a joy that is unspeakable, something that transcends any level of happiness that they might feel like they experience in this life. I went to one of the Grammy parties out there. Of course, I got blasted for it, but I went to one of the Grammy parties out there. Amazing moment for me. Being in the room, music was amazing. Everything was just dope. And then it was interesting because a guy walked up to me. It's interesting how many secular people know who I am. So
That's
being in
cool.
those environments is really cool. And one guy walked up to me. I don't, he knows me. I don't know him. He says to me, he said, I ain't been to church in 24 years. He said, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. He says, I've been trying to find purpose. What would you say to a person like myself that's trying to find purpose? This is in the middle of the Grammy party. The the stripper pole is behind us. It's a classy version, but the stripper pole is behind us.
You did it now. I said nothing. This is on you.
It's classy. It's classy. It's like the Grammy version. Anyway, stripper pole, and the group is in front of us, and I'm standing in the middle, and the guy comes up to me, bro. I mean, we talked for an hour and a half, and here's what happened. I looked around the room. We were done, and I said, everybody in here looks so beautiful, but there's so many people in here whose souls, who have tried, who have tried to find satisfaction and fulfillment, ultimate satisfaction and fulfillment in these environments, and it's been tried and found wanting. There is leanness of soul. They are anemic in their spirit, and they are longing and hungering and thirsting for more than what is here. Does that make sense? And so for me, in my brain, I say, imagine if they could hear something tonight, because they ain't gonna hear it. They wasn't gonna hear what we talked about that night. Imagine if they could hear something that's not just artistically incredible, but something that is artistically incredible and equally edifying to the spirit and to the soul. That something that cuts through and divides the bone, the marrow, the soul, and spirit, and speaks into a part of them that nothing else can. And that's why I wanted to bring joy into this record, because that is an element of who we are as believers that is, absent, I believe, in a lot of my music. So I wanted to say, hey, welcome to our world. There's joy over here.
Yeah, and that's why it stood out. Or I think another song that pops to my head, if you've heard the song "Outside" by Indie Tribe, No Big Deal and Mowgli, and they're just outside singing. I talk to God when I'm outside, and it's like a joyful song. And it's so weird to me when you hear like a song that's just everything's great, everything's super happy. I'm enjoying the day, and you're like, wait a second, because when you think about hip hop and even like rock music and stuff like that, so much of these people's success and accolades comes from the worst moments of their life, and then they have to go. You think about someone like Eminem, who was the biggest artist in the world, even bigger than Drake is now, and he's on top of every single chart. He's winning all these awards. He's on TV every 5 seconds. All the music is about him being addicted to drugs. And when he's not on the stage winning these awards, he still was addicted to drugs. It's these accolades and these platforms built on pain, and people are listening to that music and saying, yeah, keep going, keep going. It's like, where's that person going? Like, there's no happiness, there's no joy. And so it's almost so jarring when you hear just that happiness in the song. You're like, wait a minute. Like I said before, you're supposed to be that tortured artist. You're supposed to be talking from that place. And it's like, I have good days too. Like, can we write about that?
My life is not acrimony.
You're not Paul in the cell, writing. You got out.
I tell you, Justin, this is what people mean also when they say you fell off. For some of them, it's not about lyricism.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of them, it's also about where's the darker, intense truth. You see what I mean? Like, where is the truth in the prison cell, writing letters to the churches?
Yeah.
And I think that, again, it's just expectation. So much of it boils down to expectation. So, to your point, it's what we get in culture. It's what we get in mainstream hip hop. It's what we get in Christian hip hop. So by the time you hear something that's outside of what you're accustomed to, it's like, where do I place this? I don't even know where to place this. Whether that be sonically or thematically or contextually, it's like people are trying to figure out where to place it. And a lot of times they're like, I'd rather not try to figure all of that out. Let me get something I know.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect example. Last week, and everyone listening, I'm not making this a faith issue about or whether this person is CHH or not, but NF dropped his song Hope, and he was wearing white. And usually he's dressed dark. You got the dark greens. He's whatever. And this song Hope was like happy. He talks about being a father. Like as I said, that's a totally new title. It's outside. It's bright colors in his video. And there was a comment that circulated a lot, where someone's like, I wish NF would go back to his old style. I don't. And then he says, like, I pray that he goes back. My prayer would be that he goes back. So it's like praying that this person
I know.
gets rid of the hope
Right.
and goes back into the darkness.
Listen, let me tell you something. I get DMs right now where people say, I hate that you're compromising Jesus now. I just listened to your album. I hate that you're compromising Jesus.
And it's a gospel album, not even a hip hop album.
Listen.
Does it make sense?
That's the point. That's literally it. It's for them, and here's what they said. I grew up listening to the truth of the faith. So it's so ingrained in them for me to have been that way, that which is more serious, gritty. I'm fighting issues that are, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So now if I say, hey guys, can we shed some of the grief
Crazy.
and tell somebody about this joy that we have, that's literally viewed as compromising my Christianity. I pray you go back. That's what it is. I pray you go back to the old truth.
It's not fire and brimstone.
Not fire and brimstone. And it's just interesting because I'm done. That's it. So much to say about that. It's so much to say.
That's maybe a Zoom conversation.
Listen, when you've been in this a long time, so much that you gotta expect.
Man, we experience it on our end too.
Yeah.
On stuff we post.
Yeah. Yes. What happened to the Rapzilla
that was doing theological breakdowns of all of Truth's albums. Now they're just like letting him do this gospel madness. It's like he doesn't consult with us when he puts out his record. We have no say in this.
How could you let him do this? And he's like, wait.
You still cover him? I didn't know we weren't supposed to. Like I didn't know. Whatever, man. I think it's a good place to end this. So drop some plugs. Anything that you want to. I know you got a lot off your chest. Anything you want to say that maybe we didn't talk about? Let the people know.
Nah, I'm going on tour.
Go see this man.
Come check out the tour. March 10th. I will be in Jamaica, New York, at Church City, 7:30 p.m. Get tickets today. Remember, look out for your boy. I'm trying to do something different. I'm proving to the industry I can sell tickets. So get your tickets today. Even if you don't want to come to the concert, just be like, I gotta look up for my guy. Eventbrite.com. The link is in my bio. And make sure you stream the record, download it. It's a special album. That's what I would say. A lot of people are agreeing with me. Take a listen all the way through. Don't cherry pick songs. Listen to it on the way to work. Listen to it on the way home. Listen to it at work. But make sure you stream and you download the album. And make sure you follow me, T.R.U.T.H on Duty. I have not yet changed all my social media. So T.R.U.T.H on Duty. Tour, album. Let's go. I love y'all, man. Let's go.
Wait, one last thing. How many times are they allowed to call you Truth before you correct them and get mad?
2.
All right, everyone. You have a 2. Strike 3. That's it. You gotta call him Emanuel. You gotta figure it out by then. I
love you, brother.
All right, bro. All right, man. Thank you so much. This was dope.
Thanks.
All right. Peace.